Freitas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Delegate has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the time of year where bills got to move fast through committee, and sometimes our bills die quick deaths. And I remember one of the first things that I was told when I got here is don't fall in love with your bills. And it's a good thing to keep in mind, because this is a process, and like we like to say, the Commonwealth has been around for over 400 years, and it'll probably survive another year without your bill, and I can appreciate that. What I don't quite understand, though, Mr. Speaker, is why in a subcommittee 2 bills, which essentially had nothing to do with one another. They were not bills that you could have incorporated into one another effectively without getting a challenge from our esteemed colleague, Delegate Orrock, on germaneness or single issue. And yet, they were brought together for the purpose of testimony. And this obviously confused a lot of people that had arrived to testify, both in person and online. But the part that I had the biggest problem with is that a mother who had driven 2.5 hours to be able to share her story, and for which I made my comments very brief in order to allow her for more time, didn't get the chance to share what she would have liked to. And the bill she was therefore not passing, the only thing I can really do for her at this point is read it right now. So, if the body will indulge me. I am Michelle Blair, Sage's mom, otherwise known as Nana, because she is also my granddaughter. I adopted Sage after my son passed in 2007. By the time I was able to bring Sage home, she had spent more than a year in 6 different foster homes. She had a lot of trauma to recover from, but what she went through as a young girl was far, far worse. No child should ever have to go through the horrific ordeal Sage did. And I'm glad you have the opportunity to change the policies that led to it, and you have the moral obligation to ensure that no other child suffers as she did. I have heard so many other families across the country who have lived similar experiences: Democrats, progressives, Republicans, religious, non-religious, LGBTQ. It doesn't matter. We are all in the same boat. We are parents who love our kids and want them to be safe. Please listen to me, not as politicians, but as fellow parents. Sage started high school at 14 and decided to say she was a boy, but didn't tell us, her parents, even though we had supported her gender nonconforming style. Like most kids who identify as trans, she struggled with mental health issues, which had hit hard during puberty and COVID. She'd been hospitalized that summer and was still being treated, and she was fragile. I told the school all of this, but they left me completely in the dark and immediately affirmed her using a male name, male pronouns, and telling her, a tiny girl, to use the boys' bathroom, even giving her transgender website she could secretly access on her school computer. And they never told me. Less than 2 weeks after school started, she was assaulted in the boys' bathroom. She was being severely bullied with shoving, harassing, and threats of violence, rape, and death. I am a volunteer at CASA, a court-appointed special advocate for children. I am trained in how to support children experiencing trauma and mental health issues. Had I known what was going on at Sage's school, I would have had a chance to step in, but by keeping such critical secrets from me, they robbed me of the opportunity to protect my beautiful child. Sage herself told me about the assault 2 days later. We tearfully sat on the floor together, and I said we'd figure it out, but it was like something had broken. And in that night, terrified of the bullies, threats to her and us, she ran away, right into the hands of a sick predator who drove her to D.C., where she was taken by sex traffickers to Maryland. She was drugged and raped over and over until the FBI found her in Baltimore 8 days later and called us late that night to come and get her. Early the next morning, we arrived to bring her home with our back seat full of her stuffed animals and blankets, but we were turned away and sent before a judge, and we had no idea why. When we entered the courtroom, Sage wasn't even there. She was on a screen remotely from a prison cell, looking tiny and broken. I cried out, "I love you, baby." And she said, "I love you, Nana." And then an attorney interrupted and accused me of abusing Sage in connection with misgendering, which was terribly ironic since the school had hidden from us her claim to be trans to begin